My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about Superliminal, which is a first-person puzzle game developed and published by Pillow Castle Games for PC and consoles in 2019.
Yeah, if you're here for, Project Snowblind, apologies. We posted about it and everything. It doesn't want us to do it.
No.
It says no. It's like sometimes no matter how hard you try to be friends with a dog, you can't.
Yeah, you just got to write it off. It's gone, man.
Yeah, this dog's gone. Bummer. Yep. But this was my sub. I'm glad I picked it. This is something I've been curious about for a long time.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the demo and thinking it was really cool, and then no one ever talked about it.
See, the problem is it was one of those Epic Game Store exclusives.
That'll do it. Yeah. We're bringing in the new year with some discourse.
Yeah.
Fuck the Epic Store. Blah blah blah. Where are those guys now?
I don't care. But
I know. I could not care about anything less. Almost literally.
Yeah. So no discourse about it, but kind of same. This is something that Ben played and talked about on the level and had mildly good things to say about it. And I was also curious about it because the core principle of this is really neat, right?
Yeah. I like this game a lot. It's not, it's going to be the kind of thing, we're firmly in Portal territory.
Yes.
And it's the kind of thing that anything that is just always going to be compared to one of the greatest games of all time, which I feel comfortable saying, like Portal is perfect.
Yeah.
Portal's really, really good, is always going to be a little bit wanting. Yes. But it's one of those things where it's been a while since I had a Portal. I'll take a Diet Portal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll try an off-brand. I'll try a Royal Crown Portal. It's so this game, you play as somebody who's undergoing an experimental dream therapy called Somnosculpt, and something goes wrong and you end up trapped.
Yes.
In your dreams.
Yeah. You're trapped in a nightmare Michel Gondry realm where nothing is as it seems.
Yes. We're purely in the Magritte zone.
Yes.
Where the elite sleep and meet Magritte.
And you have to solve puzzles and kind of go off the rails and go behind the scenes, getting off of the established procedure in order to try and escape this realm. You're being aided by the therapy's creator, Dr. Glenn Pierce, and hindered by an AI that administers the therapy.
Yeah, very familiar sounding.
Yes.
Extremely Portal. You have a series of test chambers. There are backstage areas that you'll sneak into, sometimes necessarily. This is I guess a twist. It doesn't matter. These aren't backstage. This whole thing is intended.
Yeah.
But it's pretty Portal-y in that respect.
Yeah.
And the puzzle gimmick, like Portal, you'd have to have a core puzzle gimmick. And this one is about perspective.
Yes.
These puzzles, you would not be able to solve them, but the way you do it is in your dream, what you see is what is.
Yes.
So you can grab something, and you've got in the notes how hard this is to explain. It is a little bit hard to explain, but once you see it, you get it.
Yeah. I'd recommend watching the trailer for this at the very least to have a bit of a reference because it's very easy to belabor this.
Yes. As soon as you get it, you'll get it. It's really intuitive. It's just hard to put into words. Something is as big as it looks.
Right.
So it's basically down to that. It's as big as it looks.
Yes. When you when you pick it up, the physical size of this thing in the world is determined by how it looked when you picked it up. If you pick it up real close and put it down far away, it'll get big. If you pick it up far away and put it down real close, it'll end up being smaller.
Yes. It kind of takes a reference to what it's next to.
Yeah.
So if you hold it against the corner of a room, then it looks like it's as big as the corner of the room, and then drop it, it will be in the corner of the room and as big as the corner of the room.
Yes. Yeah. So we're in some forced perspective Trump loyal stuff here.
Yes.
This is how you get hobbits in movies.
Yeah. You just have something, close and something far away. Muzzy es grande, muzzy es bonito. And again, once you get it, it just makes sense. Mm-hmm. One of the things I like about this game is that is such a hard concept to explain, but it's so video gamey.
Uh-huh.
One of the ways in which it's video gamey is that only in video games do you hold something and not have your hand holding it for perspective.
Yes.
If I'm holding something, I always have my hand, and I know my hands like the back of my something or other.
Yeah.
I know my hands very well. So I know how big something is. Mm-hmm. Not to brag. Yeah. I just do. In a video game, in a source engine, it's not in the source engine, but it has that kind of when you hold things, they just float in front of you thing. You can do this.
Yes.
And one of my theses, or one of the things I really like about this game, is this is an experience I think can only be done in games. Mm-hmm. You couldn't do this in another medium.
Right. You can make a surreal, trippy short film that uses a lot of, forced perspective and stuff to, make things, again, not what they seem, but actually imparting the ways that perspective interacts with physical space. And specifically kind of using that intentionally and changing that and making space and size mutable, that is only a video game thing. And I'm going to be down for anything that can only be expressed in a video game.
Yes. It's being able to manipulate it.
Yeah.
Is something you can only do in a video game. And I feel like it's not a fashionable thing to care about, but I love things you can only do in video games.
Yeah.
If it's video game only, it has to be a video game. It insists on being a video game. Yeah. That makes me very happy. Whereas I feel like a lot of, and great games, don't do that.
Right.
They could translate just fine. Mm-hmm. But this is something that has a level of ambition it feels ambitious to me.
Yes.
To do something that is playing with the medium itself and cannot just be, Kentucky Route Zero, the novel.
Yes.
Or the comic book or something. It wouldn't work.
Right. Kentucky Route Zero uses a lot of forced perspective stuff, so that's a weird pull.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of a Critical Darling novelistic game.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't calling out your example. I just thought it was a neat kind of comparison. Yeah. So you're changing the size of things, based on how it looks when you pick it up and how it looks when you put it down. It's just kind of always assuming that you are putting it down the farthest away that it could be. From where you are. So you can do a lot of shortcut stuff. If you just look up, the ceilings are always very high. So if you want to make something really big, you can just pick up the small thing, look upward, and then drop it, and it'll fall and look really big or be really big.
You can loop that too.
Yeah.
It'll grow each time. As you do this. The other thing is if there's anything else in the room. So using a object as point of comparison.
Yes.
That will work. There are a bunch of other tricks they do as well, which are not shown off in the trailer.
Yes.
For this. And we'll cover these when we get to them. They're really neat. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're using they're using every part of this conceit, right? Okay, you cannot trust your eyes. Everything is a matter of perspective. What can we do with this?
You can only trust your eyes.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
It's a weird way of it's undermining all the shortcuts we use to make reality conform to what we see.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this, but an important part of the feedback for this is the sound design, right?
Yeah.
Because the sounds that things will make will change depending on how big they are. So if if you're using a pop can, right, and it's real dinky, it makes like a little let me just do some Foley here, like a
Yeah.
kind of thing. But if you make it huge, it go boom, like that will help you figure out what size it is. In addition to how it actually looks as you move around it. It's a nice little anchoring point that is really thoughtfully put together.
Yeah, and also just kind of fun when they start introducing. There's some novelty items in this that are just for fun.
Yeah,
that are fun to bounce around in a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is like most of the puzzles are kind of like platforming. Like, how do I get from this place to that place using the objects? You're also trying to get objects to a switch that they otherwise couldn't get to or wouldn't fit on. And kind of to aid that platforming and getting around, you have like a weak little jump, but most of what you're doing is through mantling, which is nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love a mantle.
Yeah.
And getting things through, the portal comparison zone end, getting things through screens where you cannot take objects. Mm-hmm. So similar to the disintegration fields in Portal that will kill your companion cube or what have you.
Yeah.
There are new modes that were added into the game later. The challenge mode, I was kind of curious about this at first, but it does it in kind of the least interesting way.
Yeah.
Which is limiting the number of moves you have to solve the puzzle. Mm-hmm. It sets limits on how often you can pick up things or jump, basically taking away your ability to experiment, which is not very interesting to me.
Yeah, I wanted it to be like, I don't know, Master Quest, a version of the levels, right?
I don't know how you would do it. I don't know how you would do this as a challenge mode. It is a sandboxy, like fuck around puzzle game.
Yeah.
Another thing I really like about this game is that it is exactly as long as it can and needs to be. And I feel like it basically, there are a couple other little twists you could do on some of the ideas in it, but it feels like a fairly fully explored space to me. There wasn't going to be a harder version of these puzzles because they are what they are. It has like an elemental property to it. It feels like.
Yeah. It would be very difficult because the entire game is about breaking these limitations. It would be very difficult to set up something that had wild constraints. Like, yes, you could make it more difficult, but I don't know. Like, the cool thing about this isn't the potential for challenge fuckery. It's the potential for novelty. And they get in and get out in 3 hours. And that 3 hours over the course of like the 8 levels that are actual gameplay, it's a pretty big variety. Right. Yeah. I think that this is really well paced. This was an afternoon of play for me, but it didn't feel slight, I guess.
Yeah. I did this over 2 sessions and both of which were fun.
Yes.
Like I was looking forward to setting back down with it. Yeah. They also added a multiplayer mode to this, which is, it looks like this looks more interesting. It's 12 players. And it's like a puzzle rush mode, like a Fall Guys, like you play with other people.
Yeah, it's like in randomized chambers. That's in addition to a co-op mode. I'm very curious how somebody else doing the perspective fuckery looks to an outside observer.
That's really, fucked up. Yeah, we will see. In addition to gameplay, there are also collectibles through this. They're trying to make, you could feel the devs understanding that they had basically squeezed all the juice from this orange, non-derogatory. So they add collectibles to it. As you go through the levels, you try to find little alcoves, you try to pull all the fire alarms, things like that. I don't play video games for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The most interesting ones are the hidden chess pieces. These are kind of cool. These involve getting into spaces you're not like these actually are challenge mode kind of things. Like, how do I get into this very small space? And they hide these very well. Yeah. Again, wasn't really playing for that kind of thing, but it's there if you want it.
I found myself pursuing what felt like it was the way forward, and then I ended up kind of out of bounds, and there was always one of these things there, which is a very good way to handle this kind of collectible, I think.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Visually, the game is pretty simple. I think it kind of needs to be You know, you kind of
Yes.
need to be in these plain institutional rooms. And something that I think is very smart is you're only interacting with a handful of different objects. They're just kind of like, different instances. So you get pretty familiar with how they're going to change, right? So you get like chess pieces, wedges of cheese that will turn into ramps. Boxes, pop cans, a bunch of stuff like that. It kind of ends up being totemic. Like when you see one of these, you know this is the thing that I need to pick up and interact with.
It's totemic, and it's also part of the kind of pop art, surrealist art references to this. Like this has, a bunch of, visual art kind of references to it. Magritte is a real obvious touch point for a lot of it. But, and these are pieces of art that are like objects that tend to be used in that kind of art, for lack of a less caveman way to say that.
Yeah, you're picking up apples, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the dream world you're in is this. I'm going to use a buzzword that is overused.
Oh boy,
I think this is it is though.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
No, I know.
Like there's no
funny.
denying it. Like this is a good use of liminal space.
Yeah.
This is all the places in this are endless hotel conference rooms and endless halls of identical doors. Backstage maintenance area. That just kind of goes on, like these things that are actually liminal spaces before Gen Z got their hands on that word and backrooms it up.
Yeah. Before they kind of stripped it of all of its meaning.
Started referring to like people as such, or like this, this fire hydrant is a real liminal space. It's giving off bisexual liminal space vibes, and it's just a fire hydrant. Before the word lost all meaning.
Yeah. But you're right. And they're doing, it's not just that you are in these kind of anonymous spaces. They're pulling off like antechamber kind of stuff with this. Antechamber being an indie game that is kind of a touchstone for this. It's the illogical space build engine kind of thing going on where stuff will loop kind of, seamlessly. Impossible spaces. And I think that all of these elements play really well with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah.
The dialogue and writing in this is, I would say, like largely not up to snuff with the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's the AI is very GLaDOS-y, but without the charisma of GLaDOS.
Yep.
And the messages that Dr. Pierce gives you via these boom boxes in the dream world as you go through are sometimes kind of amusing. And I like how they are. I like the delivery.
Yes.
On them. Like, this is going to make me sound like an idiot. I like the accent. I just find it pleasant, listening to this like Scottish accent there. But where this kind of contributes to a greater whole does not work.
Right.
I think they kind of they're saying, if you're in this situation, in this dream simulation, because you are down and you feel bad about yourself and such, you have problems, you can't solve them. Changing your perspective will help. And at the end of the game, they just kind of state this to you.
Yeah.
They're like, changing perspective will help you realize, and that is a true thing, but it's not worth saying. It's a little too Sesame Street.
Yes.
There's not enough profundity in it, I think.
Because your character is just a cipher for you. And, you can't, a person can feel stuck in their life, whatever, but they're sitting down to play a video game, and to have this, it just feels like a coat of paint that is kind of smacked onto it at the end a little bit. And I think that if your character was implied to have some kind of past, have a life outside of this that was worth getting back to, basically the stakes do not feel high enough for them to start playing around in a life lesson in life lesson ideas on the back of this.
It would work better. I think they worked backwards. I think that they had the mechanic and they're like, okay, this is about perspective. What is the meaning we can lend to perspective?
Yeah.
And it undeniably true. Like if you're feeling stuck, like, hey, go for a walk and, go change your scenery and stuff, and that will change your perspective and it might give you new ideas.
Yeah. Sleep on it. Show it to somebody else. Like all this usual common sense stuff.
Yeah. It's very common sense, and at the end when it kind of tries to ascribe to beauty, with these ideas, it does not quite work.
Yeah.
It wheels out the end of the beginner's guide music.
Yes.
And stuff to try to, cash an emotional check it doesn't have. It doesn't, I wish it had just not done that.
Yeah.
Because, there's a profundity or like a feeling that can come from playing this game that I found that reminded me of being in art galleries. Do you remember when we were the first time we went to Milwaukee at Midwest Gaming Classic, we went to that art gallery?
Yeah. They had that really cool like industrial design thing. Yeah.
A bunch of chairs for some reason. I love it when an art museum is just like, here's chairs. Like, let's give it up. Like, I got to hand it to them. But
the great equalizer.
We're walking along, and there was a piece that was a window in the floor. And it just kind of kept going down, and it implied like this little substructure that was under the art museum that wasn't there. And it didn't draw attention to itself. You're just walking along and you look down and you see this thing, and it looks deeper than you expect and such. Those kind of like catching your breath moments in an art museum where you are being confronted with something. It's not about, it's before the interpretation,
right?
Before your thought, before you start kind of trying to figure something out, that kind of like, moment that comes in an art museum.
Yeah. That little lag, that differential is loaded with so much value, kind of emotionally, perceptively, right?
It's one of my favorite things about art museums, and it's something I also got from this game. And I wish they just rested with that rather than trying to be like, oh, this is what we're about.
If they just tried to impart whatever meaning or beauty into the visuals or situations, as opposed to again slapping this light bit of plaster and spackle over it at the end, I think it would have hit much harder, right? And that is something this does crib or cite. Crib is not a charitable way to say it. It does cite Antichamber as an influence. That is a game that is entirely without text. There's no dialogue, no anything. I feel like that would have been the better play. If not a little bit, but then it would be alienating, but it feels like it's supposed to be alienating. Like you're supposed to bring your own kind of meaning and feeling to it. Just there's a lot that could have been gotten through subtlety if they wanted to aim for that kind of impact. The other way is, Portal, the thing that this is very clearly trying to at least take as an expectation. Funnier? Well, to be funnier, but also Portal isn't trying to be about anything. Right?
No, like there's very minor little themelets you could read into Portal.
Yeah.
If you want to, that range from reasonable, like, oh, this is a commentary on video games and, being told what to do and being, to this is a first person shooter through a Yonic lens.
Yeah.
They range from reasonable to insane.
Yeah. Things get a little bit Christina Ricci, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would have, you could have just made it funny and fun. Yeah. I've never played Antichamber. This tells me I need to, because I like this kind of thing. But I agree. And it's not a Vorpal flaw.
No.
Like as you're playing it, you're not like fucking shut up. You're not mad at it. It just doesn't end up sticking the landing textually the same way it does, I feel like, in gameplay.
It's something it attempts and falls short on. And it's a bummer to say because this has a commentary mode that I played a little bit of, and you can hear the writer who was brought in here kind of talking to feeling pretty good about it. And, such a small team, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't feel that great, but like it's on the plate. So
yeah, that part wasn't as successful, while I really like this game and the rest of it is successful.
Yeah. So this began kind of like not quite as a student project, but a little bit like one. The main, like the lead developer on this is named Albert Shi or She. What do you think that is?
Boy, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a word. SHIH.
Yes. I'm going to say Albert Shi. Who is a student at Carnegie Mellon University. There, like it's a interactive software. It's a very highly respected program, right? They
do software stuff other than just melon studies.
Yeah.
Like you might expect. Like it's mostly about honeydews and like cantaloupes and things of that nature, but they also do some things about games.
Yeah. Like if you remember back around like 2010, the guy who did all that stuff with like forcing like a faux 3D using like the Wii tracking remote kind of stuff set on glasses, like that was a Carnegie Mellon thing. They do a lot of cool stuff with interactive hardware and software. I didn't mean to no sell your Mellons joke.
Okay.
I just wanted to provide a little bit more context. But Shit came up with this kind of toward the end of his studies. And a lot of the initial work was done by this team of 6 people, most of them being classmates at the time, kind of near graduation.
As we mentioned, this is a Portal and Antechamber-like, the clear inspiration. I'm surprised there aren't more of those. I remember Portal coming out and being huge, and then several years later, Quantum Conundrum, which nobody liked.
Right.
And then kind of didn't hear about Portal-likes for a long time. There's a couple other ones, but not very many.
I guess people just saw like, oh yeah, that space is taken. Like, why?
Yeah.
If I'm going to come at the king, I'm not going to dethrone this one. So maybe come up with something else. I feel like the GLaDOS voice and the kind of like hostile corporatism ended up being more of a touch point that people took from Portal as opposed to the setup. Yeah.
And you get it more of like kind of a Stanley Parable kind of, the playing with the box. Like, what is a video game asking you to do? Following the themes of Portal more than the actual mechanics of such.
Yes.
Part of it, because I think it's hard. Like even when you run into games that are, like you could make the arguments that something like the Talos Principle should live in this space, but that could be done in 2D almost. Like that's just, box lasers and stuff. Like I like the Talos Principle, but it doesn't feel like it's playing with the first person form as much to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a commentary mode, which is neat. Heard a little bit from these folks. It only unlocks after you complete the game, which makes sense. I wasn't going to play the game over again because I was playing it toward the end of break, and I didn't want to dedicate a lot of time on break.
You just finished it.
Yeah, I just finished it. True. Yeah. So I did I did like the first 2 levels with it, and it's neat. It's always fun hearing from developers explaining what is in front of you, right?
Yeah. Love a commentary mode.
Yes.
The original idea for this was to be an anthology with a bunch of very different mechanics in each level, kind of like the Unfinished Swan. This was dropped in favor of working on this perspective theme. There are different mechanics in this that play with that, but they all are kind of wrapped around that.
Yes. Yeah. Playtesting was a nightmare for this, which I can totally understand. You're kind of setting up these illogical situations. And there was a lot of confusion about what should and shouldn't be possible in the dream world. Coming up with puzzles around this and then testing them and making them flow seems like it was a very difficult task, and it's admirable that they accomplished it as well as they did.
There's like a trust in the player that is required for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
That makes playtesting it feel maddening. It seemed like it would be maddening to me because if you say too much, if you explain too much, it doesn't work. You have to have that joy of kind of fucking around and experimentation, and people just being like, why can't I do this? And just like, well, you can't because you don't understand the thing.
Yeah.
You don't understand what's happening here. I would be horrible at being a game designer and having to like talk to playtesters of this.
Yeah.
It would make me so mad. I would hate them. And playtesters are heroes. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It would just drive me crazy.
That is for people with different constitutions that we have, I think, Eric.
Yes. Yeah. Less angry making.
Oh, man. This was first revealed at the Tokyo Game Show in 2013. It was a tech demo called the Museum of Simulation Technology. I'm very happy they changed that name. It made a good first impression. Like, I remember seeing this. I remember just getting a little bit of a taste of like a video saying like, that is a really cool and novel idea. And then hearing nothing about it for another 6 or 7 years.
Same. Yeah. And then once it came out, 2019, so timed exclusive to the Epic Games Store.
Oh, yeah.
Came to Steam and consoles in 2020, also not hearing anyone talk about it.
Yes.
It reviewed well. It's in the mid to high 70s, which is about what you'd expect.
Yep.
That seems about right to me. We don't know how it sold. We don't know if the team's working on anything like that. It just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough. And I've never heard anyone talk about it, which is part of why I picked it.
Uh-huh.
So welcome to the first people on podcast ever to talk about this game. Definitely not true, but the first time we've talked about it.
Shit. Okay. I just about
Breaking
thought that
news.
I looked them up on Moby Games, and I was like, oh, they worked on Manifold Garden too. That's another. It's like Antechamber, but with fractal stuff instead of like looping spaces. But they're just a special thanks. They're like this Superliminal is the only game that they are like a lead designer on.
Gotcha.
Albert Shih. So
Yeah, they maybe went on to watermelons after this.
that's the big show.
It's one of the it's one of the biggest. It's the biggest major there, and they they basically they categorize you by that.
Yeah.
When you take a class, you take a test, and we sort you into different melon groups.
Yeah, I'm not a freshman. I'm a honeydew.
Yeah, you became. Yeah, we're just honeydews. Yeah, exactly. I'm a winter melon.
And we start with the level called Induction. These are not named when you get to them. It's just in the level select. It opens with kind of this FMV commercial made of stock footage for the Pierce Institute and this somnosculp therapy. Saying like what kind of person would seek this out? People have trouble putting things in proportion.
Yes. You sign a waiver when you come into it, and we run into kind of our first puzzle here. There's a huge chess piece blocking the hallway, and we're getting little tutorial messages.
Yes.
Teaching us we can move it out of the way and make it smaller. This uses the semiotics of games really well.
Yeah.
One thing I like is that you are going to click things in a game, and being able to click things at any distance is kind of forced by this first thing because it takes up so much of the screen.
Yeah.
If you just click, like, you're likely to grab it. And see the kind of feedback of, I've grabbed something in a game.
Yeah, I've grabbed something and now it's, like up close, like right by my face, right?
Yes.
This initial thing is really well designed because, if you stand at the end of the hallway, like where the door is, like it is just the right distance for it to be super small when you pick it up. You can't get past this without understanding how to work on this. It's a good 1-1.
Yep. Then you end up creating a staircase out of toy blocks here, which is also kind of explaining the things you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
While this is happening, a voice is talking to you. This is a text-to-speech voice from a lady. We're beginning to get the sinister, the portal knockoff kind of stuff. The voice was specifically chosen to remind you that she's not part of the patient care team. She does not care about you. Mild-ass jokes.
Yes.
It is hard to laugh out loud during Superliminal, I found.
Yeah. You can see what they're gesturing towards.
Yes.
This is referred to later on, as the orientation protocol or something like that. I don't remember that being established.
I don't recall.
Yeah. So you get to this test chamber that's about making an object really, really tiny. To fit into this nook on this boarded up door. And you also can yank down the boards here and get to a behind the scenes area. This doesn't go anywhere. It just looks like an access hallway. I love the Dream Soda machines.
I love Dream Soda. Dream Soda is really good. You get a little Chivo for having every one of the Dream Sodas. Also, later in the game, there's a puzzle you can use where you can change your own size. And the chess piece is hidden inside the soda machine. Like you have to go inside it, which is really great.
I love that. Yeah. But you can get a mini soda and it comes out and it's super small.
Yeah, the tiny soda. And then you can make it big and you have a gigantic mini soda for great justice.
Yes.
So a voice is warning you to stay on the course here. There's a test. The next test has us circumvent barriers by using the perspective to send a block over a wall here to get it up there, like push it over because it has one of those little disintegration things that destroys objects.
Yeah. So you just look over the short wall and it'll drop over on the other side, being really big. I get real creative with the verbs in the note here in the notes here, Gary. I call this perspectiving over a block over a wall.
Yeah. Basically what you do.
Something that I like, they've got some signage just in terms of writing that works in this. As they're explaining these little object dissolving barriers, there's like a penalty system here. You can be fined up to 4 nights of sleep for breaking the object barrier rules.
I like that idea.
Being fined nights of sleep is really a cool idea.
Nights of sleep as a currency is something somebody should grab and run with.
Yes.
Like that is a good idea. That's basically like a direct-to-DVD 2009 sci-fi.
It's like a sequel to In Time starring Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. Or like a sequel, like just a fast follow.
Yeah, it's the trauma version.
Like the trauma version of In Time. It writes itself, basically.
Yeah.
So after you get this over here, there's a room that doesn't look like it has any objects. There's 2 switches. You cannot do it, but the door open or close sign is something you can grab. They do cool stuff with this later.
Yeah.
But kind of figuring out that not everything is just going to be a companion cube in the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
Some things you're going to have to grab from the infrastructure.
Yeah. You see the sign is askew. It is not put out specifically for testing, it appears.
Yes.
And the voice tells us, you've done enough. You've reached the end of the therapy experience. But the exit door, when you open it up, it's bricked over.
Yes.
And it seems like you're trapped.
Yep. But a wall panel can come loose here, and you can grab this wedge of cheese through the gap and kind of widen enough to where you can knock over the wall panels and get into the service hallways behind.
Yeah.
As you head towards an exit, it does another perspective thing where there's a piece of shadow on the ground. You just can't see it. And there's a pit there. There's no floor there. You can't see the floor. It's not there.
Yeah.
And you fall down, you land in your bed with an alarm clock going off. This is kind of our Groundhog Day loop as we go through each level.
Yeah, it's every one of them is going to start back in your little sleep therapy room with the alarm clock going off, and the time will be advanced each time you go through. And you get up and you're like, okay, well, am I dreaming? Am I back in this? I didn't start in here the first time, and it looks like you're in the abandoned Pierce Institute offices. But it becomes clear that you're dreaming when you see a dream soda machine.
Yes, the old standby. We walk into some kind of these red hallways, and there are something I like in this as well. Is there are sometimes little one-off joke kind of things. I also, this point of comparison, obviously, they do the when Flanders has the hurricane. Stores his house, and they make a new master bedroom for him where he starts walking up the hallway, but it actually just shrinks into a small little porthole.
Yeah, like the hallway isn't going like it's not a long hallway. It's just short, but it foreshortens, and then the door opens up, and it's super tiny, and it's Barney's face. Welcome to your master bedroom. Yeah, they literally just use that, which is a good call out.
Yeah, it's a cute little perspective trick that could not be a puzzle.
Yes.
We talked about this before on the network, I'm sure. I'm a real sucker for optical illusions.
Oh, it's great. It's magic. I like it's that Oliver Sacks bullshit that just kind of reveals like that your brain and your perception is mostly held together with baling wire and twine. Right? Nothing
is true. That like there isn't a 100% of all perceptions are actually false.
Yes.
It's wild to think about. And I love, I will stop in my tracks at an optical illusion. If I am like running into a burning building to save a baby and somebody's like, hey, these lines look like they're moving. I'm like, fuck, man, they do. And then that baby's toast. Yep. I don't do it on purpose. I'm not proud of it, but like I will fucking move heaven and earth to see an optical illusion.
And like, it's been a thing since I was a little kid too. Like I remember like my uncle showing me an optical illusion at one point. I was just like, oh shit, this is going to be a lifelong obsession for me.
Yeah.
And even as a grown ass adult, I'm just like, oh cool, it looked one way and then it's not. Yeah, like I feel like a dog being shown a magic trick or something,
But it's our brains. It's not our fault.
I know.
Like it's literally just the nature of us, the same way it's the nature of dogs.
I just revel. I revel in the like, oh yeah, I am dumb as shit. Awesome.
Yeah. Those chess pieces aren't the same. Wait a minute. Like those two squares aren't the same color.
Yeah.
But if I hold my finger thuswise.
Yes, but exactly.
If you ever want to absolutely have your mind blown, and especially if you have a kid in your life, Google Curiosity Show Ames window.
Okay.
And fucking buckle up. I don't know if you know about the Ames window. It is the coolest optical illusion I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
It is a must watch. Everyone needs to look at it.
Okay.
Curiosity Show does a good job of explaining it. It's an old Australian like science show that I find really charming. That's all over YouTube. The Ames window is literally a mind-blowing.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I've seen this. You were on a Curiosity Show kick a few years back when we were doing Tube Talking. You brought one of those. It's AMES window, Ames window.
Yes, the Ames window is exceedingly cool.
So, like, to see a game that is built around a bunch of optical illusions, like that's a pretty high floor for this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we find a boombox, and this is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and he says, you're so special because they don't know where you're at.
Yes.
But they're going to try to recover you. The idea being you've gone too deep.
Yes.
In this.
You're off the charts. Our instruments can't keep track of you. We've already revealed everything is in control. Like everything is constructed to give you the sense that you're in terrible danger. This is a little bit like your therapist, like black bagging you and kidnapping you.
It's a little McCaney manner.
Yeah.
But for therapy.
Yeah. Is that one of those extreme haunted houses?
It's the one where the guy got arrested. Finally.
Good. You shouldn't be allowed to vomit on people for fun.
I mean, there's a documentary about that guy. It is kind of interesting. But yeah, he finally got arrested.
Yes. Good. Saying like, all right, well, we're scrambling in the control room trying to find you. And you're fully in the hotel conference space, kind of version of this now. The new trick here is that there does not appear to be an object, to solve a puzzle with, but there are strange markings on the wall. And if you stand in their correct place, it appears that there is a 3D box kind of floating in space, and then you can reach out and grab it. Something that I love here is if you're just kind of close enough, it doesn't force you to stand in exactly the right spot where everything kind of meets up. It'll like kind of slowly move you into spot, like snap you to grid on it, which is nice.
Yeah. Think about those tree branch puzzles in Hellblade. The Suyuna's sacrifice or whatever.
Yeah, or some of the stuff in The Witness, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we have to do this to make an exit door appear. This is kind of the theme here, is changing where we're at to see where the environment is.
Right.
We do this eventually with a chess piece that's painted across the environment, so it's kind of spread out. Here, but when you grab it, it creates a chess piece shaped hole, which we can then walk through.
Like it even cuts through the pipes that were kind of in the way. It's real neat. And then you reach a wall, that'll block you, but you can reach up through a skylight and grab the moon from out of the sky, which is fun.
I assume this is a portal Easter egg or like a shout out.
Yeah,
here the moon behaves in a really weird way. Things can stick to it. Which is real weird. You can put a block on it and it will stick to it.
Yeah.
And a boombox here will tell you, don't interact with anything that seems, psychologically significant. We can't control those. Yeah. Is this where it says, if you run into your parents, punch them?
Yeah. If you run into your parents, run away.
Yeah. That's pretty cute.
Yeah. So you have to grab the exit off of the moon. It's just a freestanding exit door. You drag it down, then you make it big enough so you can grab the door and then move the door into a space where you can walk through it. And the voice tells you, like, all right, we have prepped an escape elevator that is supposed to wake you up, but you get into it and then it just kind of drops and you wake up in the you wake up in the bedroom again.
Yep. Starting dream number 3, when you wake up, the voice is saying that your arrival in this dream state paradox means you failed the orientation process.
Yes.
You need to rectify this immediately. None of this stuff's true. You just did the things you can do.
Right.
Fairly linear. A little later, it says experiencing more than 3 to 5 dreams per night induces an explosive mental overload, which can initiate an emergency exit procedure.
Yes.
Again, giving you these little goals to try to get out of the simulation.
Yeah. So you start running into rooms where the objects aren't freestanding. You go to pick it up, and then it just kind of like slides out these very long pressboard boxes that you have to kind of move away from the surface. It is hard to explain.
Yeah, imagine if you grab something and instead of the thing moving, it just stretched.
Yes.
in one of the directions you pulled it through here.
Yeah, and everything here is about like the different cubes in the environment not acting like they should, and the cubes are dice, and you go through several different iterations of like, oh, I go to pick up a one of these big dice, but instead it's a loosely assembled box and the sides come off, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. A cute touch in this is as you go on, the dice become different things for the pips. Like a dice will look like a dice from a distance, but when you get close, it's 5 apples instead of normal dice pips, things like that.
Yeah.
Which I like. You do this, you make your way through, again, you perspective your way through.
Yes.
Here. Eventually you get to the final room, which has this huge dice you cannot pick up. When you grab one of its side, it comes off. And this reveals a shaft in the bottom of the dice that you drop through.
Yeah.
Get to the elevator. Bringing us into dream number 4, the blackout.
Yeah. I like this a lot.
Yeah, this is the horror level. This is, you can see shades of them, the original Variety kind of pitch of this, of different puzzles.
Yeah.
For everything. This is the spooky level.
Yes. So you wake up again and the lights start going out in the facility. And the voice says, there should be a generator here somewhere.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Very dream logic.
And, it's kind of similar environments, these office spaces kind of things. But things are, in the dark, things are kind of intentionally designed to be scary. There's what appears to be blood everywhere. And it seems like you're stuck, but you have to remember everything here is about perspective. So like what appears to just be a very dark, high contrast shadow cast on a wall is actually concealing like a doorway, concealing a hallway that you can go through.
It's weird that this works because it's the way to get past this, or one way to get past it would just be pushing up against the edges of the space you're in. And that's not that exciting, but it actually does give you like a nice eureka moment as you walk through the wall. It reminds me a lot of, and this is reference for no one, reminds me a lot of the first little wall trick in the movie Labyrinth, when she just kind of walks past a wall to get into the next layer deep here. And it's really similar to that.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look like you can keep going, but you can. There.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of cute little bits in this too. And they're like these signs that say die, die, die. But then when you actually look around the corner, it's diet soda cut off by the door frame. Like it's not actually spooky. It's cute spooky.
Another Simpsons thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Diet. Yeah. To cross a pit, it's Indiana Jones shit. It looks like there is no way across, but obscured in shadow is a pitch black kind of catwalk maze that you have to kind of look around. You
manipulate the light so it's backlit.
Yes.
If you're looking at straight on, you can't see it, but if you look down, you can see a light from behind it to see where it's at. A black catwalk on a black background, largely.
Throughout this, I didn't make a note of it, but like after you're like looking around or looking back, there will be what appears to be people watching you through windows, kind of like following you or stalking you. It's real blink and you miss it kind of stuff. But
yeah, some of these you actually, when you look back or if you walk up to them, they're chess pieces.
Yeah.
They look like silhouettes. Watching you from the window, gigantic chess pieces.
Yeah, and just when you light up, that's fully revealed. And there's an alternate ending you can get where if you follow one of the chess pieces that is peeking out, like it'll just kind of appear to be running from you. You can follow it all the way back to the end to get a non-standard game over that I did not try, but I read about.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah. But the voice says like, hey, instead of starting another dream sequentially to get this overload, you've actually fallen into a dream within a dream.
Yep. Whoops.
You are responsible for failing to make this crucial distinction. Okay.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
We get to this. This is a part I really love. You get to this dead end, and it looks like a dead end, but there's a loose exit sign you can grab, and the exit sign casts light. And this interfaces with the primary mechanic, where it's like it's not bright enough to be a flashlight, but you can make it huge.
Yes.
Instead of carrying it around like a flashlight, you can make it a jumbotron and just lean it up against the wall, and it will just cast a red light on everything.
Yeah.
To get around, like figuring out how to use this thing as a flashlight to get around the darkness thing was a cool eureka moment.
Yes.
Like that.
It's like, oh, I can't get this into the other side of this room where casting it would be great. It does not cast enough light to cover that distance. Figuring out to make it big to fill the room was a nice little aha.
Yep. Very cool. And you do this, you get through, there's a small version of that and then a bigger version where you do that. And you get to the end and there is a generator.
Yeah.
You turn it on, you see that chess piece pawn was following you.
Yeah. You see
here.
like cans of red paint. That wasn't blood. There's no explanation for like the doors that snap closed and stuff, kind of little haunted house horror tricks that are going on. But it is a very fun, it is a very, very fun way to play with the theme and fake you towards something. I think maybe the closest that it gets to something psychologically significant, which is like, something that seems to be totally scary is just a mind that that it's just a trick that is being played on your mind. Right?
Yeah. There's nothing there in the dark that isn't there in the light.
Yes.
And once you actually figure out what's behind the dark, it's just an exit. It's all very mundane.
Yeah. You wake up in dream number 5, which is called Clone. And you're in a version of the office where trying to grab the green exit door to open it up causes a smaller copy of the door to appear in front of it. And doing this multiple times creates a ramp.
Yes, it makes the domino meme as you grab the door. The first time this happens was a laugh out loud, smile out loud moment, like just going, making a little pop noise, and then just a tiny smaller door pops off. It also happens with the little inconsequential objects, like you're pulling the fire alarms, which I was just because they were there.
Yeah.
And there's an achievement if you do all of them, et cetera. But just a smaller fire alarm pops off. Just the handle pops off. So cute.
I just kept on doing that until there was a little pile.
Yeah. It's just like, this will be useful for something.
Nope.
In this one, you do it, to create the domino meme, and then it's a ramp. You walk up the domino meme.
Yeah.
To get the other. And this is kind of what we're doing in this level.
Yeah. You're not picking things up, but you're making a smaller version of the thing appear based on where it looks like it would be when you try to pick it up. Yeah.
And you can't move them.
Right.
You're not holding them. You just copy them every time you click them.
Mm-hmm. And this happens again if you try to pick it up again. It'll make another copy. There's a chamber with an apple on a switch, and you can't pick it up directly, but you can make a bigger copy of it that will drop onto it and roll it off at the switch. And then when you right click, you can recall all of the objects back into the original.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which you have to do at some point because you will have made too many copies.
Yeah, you can't get around.
Yeah. There is the next room is the one with the fan, right?
Yeah, that was it was the one that was, this took me a while, Gary.
Same. Yeah. This is the puzzle that took me the longest in this game. This is not a super difficult puzzle game. Nope. Like you don't have to use a walkthrough or anything. I like that as somebody who's not a puzzle masochist. But this one, you have all these apples and there's a switch up on top of a platform with stairs, and you think you can just copy the apples until you get them to the switch, but there's a fan that pushes them off into a pit here. And this took me a really long time. But again, thinking, the game doesn't underline this for you. Again, what you see is what is there. You have to stand at the top of the platform and make a copy of the apple. So to you, it looks like it's actually on the switch in front of you.
Yes.
Things work both ways. Like you can hold something out against the wall and it will actually be against the wall. But if you hold something close to you or click something close to you, it will be close to you.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah. I got it up on the platform and then I had to make a little trail of smaller apples to get it on there.
Yeah, to get like a tiny apple.
Yeah. Can you think of another game that would be as broken by a crouch button as this?
It's pretty. Crouch would not work.
Yeah,
or a slightly higher jump. Or or being able to throw something. Yeah, like I kept wanting to throw things, and I'm like, no, that would actually ruin everything.
Yep,
that would cause my computer to crash.
Everything is exactly as it needs to be.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the centerpiece one. I'm glad to hear that you struggled with that as well.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
There's one puzzle later that took me a while, but it wasn't because of, it was getting the game to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah. It
wasn't figuring it out.
Implementation or execution thing, rather.
No, it was a minor bummer.
The messages that you get start breaking down. The last of the Pierce tapes that you get has the words of everything all jumbled out of order. Like they just kind of randomized the words and then had them delivered as they were written, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dream stuff's happening.
Yeah.
basically. Wake up in the bedroom again, and we pass. There's a relaxation room. I love this. It's a theater that just shows a GIF of moving clouds.
With one chair in front of it.
One chair. It was originally that was a placeholder, but they decided to keep the GIF. I really like the relaxation room. It made me want a relaxation room.
Yeah,
like that.
Gosh, man, to have enough space to have a dedicated just relaxation room like that
like
with
a
a
cloud
projector.
looking at room.
Yeah.
And Pierce says, you've reappeared on the monitoring system. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it.
So do what you just did, not anything before it.
Yeah. And this whole section is about changing your size.
Yes.
You reach this ballroom with a dollhouse in it, and you can change the dollhouse till you walk in. And then once you walk in it, you're now tiny when you walk out of it.
Yes.
Into another zone. And you can do this to change your size. Here is a minor nitpick in this game. If you make yourself too small, your movement speed, becomes intolerable. You can reset from checkpoints. In this, the checkpoints are generally pretty generous, but there's a couple of them during these change your size bits where the checkpoint's a little bit further back than I want it to be.
Yeah.
For rapid iteration, and moving that slow is really obnoxious. It reminds me of the old Champions tabletop game.
Okay.
If you wanted to be a size character, like you change character. I am size queen.
Yeah. See, that's exactly what I was going to. Yeah, that's what that is literally the joke that I was going to make.
I know. But if you do that, there were separate power perks to like move at your normal speed. And if you didn't do that, you would just walk at like ant speed through that. It would be impossible. Like it's just really silly old tabletop design where they nickel and dimed you for everything.
Geez. Yeah. So you don't want to make yourself too small. And the exits that we're talking about, they don't always go to a different room. They're like, it'll be a door that is literally just a portal to another place in the room that you're in. And your size when you come out of it is related to your size relative to the door when you walk in.
Yes.
And this is where stuff gets, I like this level of trippy that it gets, like the idea that you're picking up a whole house and then walking into it and there's a smaller house inside of it. Like we're getting into like properly recursive stuff, which is fun.
Yeah. They're real fun. There's a puzzle here with a ballroom that has the exit door on top of a Jenga tower. And you have to upscale a fan to blow over the Jenga tower. Satisfying.
Yeah.
You can't move the Jenga blocks. I was hoping to play Jenga.
Yeah.
And you do perspective tricks in order to get, moving this window that you need to get through. And the way you get to it is manipulating a bouncy castle.
Yeah.
With an exit door on it. I'm glad they added bouncy castles.
Yep.
There.
Yeah. Like it's in an empty pool. And the exit on it exits out into a vent that looks down on the bouncy castle in the pool itself. You have to pick it up and place it on a higher level. So when you walk back out of the vent, you can get to the exit, the proper exit. You end up inside of this small box with two exits inside of it that lead to each other, and you have to size them up so you can get to a keyhole in the wall.
Yes.
You're in like a jewelry box or something like that.
This is the other thing that took me a long time.
Yes.
And it wasn't figuring it out. It was making it work.
Yeah.
You have to make them, these two physics objects don't play nice in terms of being on top of one another.
Yeah.
And they have to be. Like you walk into one door and walk out the other one. You have to line up at the exit, but it has to be high enough. And they would just fall off each other.
Yeah.
And then I would go to grab it because it was falling off, but I'd walk forward a little bit and grabbing it would shrink it.
Yep.
And then it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
This took longer than I wanted it to be, and it wasn't because I didn't know the puzzle. That's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, this is the puzzle where I accidentally made myself way too small and couldn't cover the distance. Yeah.
Also a really easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Here. So a little bit annoying. You get through this, we end up on this huge chessboard, and another dollhouse will lead us to the exit elevator, bringing us into Dream 7.
I like being super tiny in this in this bedroom. Yeah.
Yes, me too.
Dream 7 is called The Labyrinth. You wake up in the bedroom and the emergency exit protocol, that is starting up. That's a different voice. It's a male voice. Gets interrupted by the standard orientation protocol, the lady voice, saying that the hopelessness and fear that you are feeling is impossible inside of this therapeutic process that is intended to reduce those emotions. You must have been improperly oriented, which is impossible. So you need to keep doing the therapy until your emotions improve, kind of holding you responsible for your own feeling on this.
Keep doing the therapy until your emotions improve is pretty accurate.
Yes.
It's like a good, it's like, yeah, no, yeah, that is what you do.
Yeah.
When we head to the exit elevator, it's bricked over. And we get there, we just wake up back in the bedroom, and we're waking up over and over again. This is kind of like a cinematic sequence.
Yes.
As this happens until we fall out of the bedroom sideways into a warehouse.
Yeah.
And things are degrading at this point.
Yeah. Like different rooms are kind of perpendicular to each other. Like the gravity is shifting within
Like
them.
Doctor Strange shit.
Yeah. There's the rooms and windows can have exit, and now suddenly you're falling from the ceiling. This is just like back-to-back gags where trying to pick something up and solve the apparent puzzle in the room causes things to break, and you end up falling into another room and attempting the same thing.
Yes. I think this is the one somewhere in this set is when you have to back up to make an object, similar to level 2. But when you do, you fall into a pit. Like the proper place to see the object is a pit where you fall into the next room.
It's real clever.
Really good. Like just like great little like fuck you player moment, like benign fuck you. Like you're not frustrated. This is the intended path.
Yeah. It's not wasting your time, but yeah.
No, it's the game. It's just a cute little joke.
It's just, intending to frustrate you, but by frustrating you, you're making progress.
Yes. Real fun. Things, as this happens, eventually you get to the puzzle I really liked here, where you go to a hallway and it's a T-shaped intersection. There's an exit sign. It points in one direction.
Yeah.
Whichever way you look first is always a dead end.
Yes.
Through that.
You need to kind of fake toward the wrong direction to make the dead end appear that way, so the right way will have a door that you can go through. And you have to do it enough times that you demonstrate that you understand what is happening.
Yeah, it's 5 times. And the first couple ones, the exit is in the right direction normally. There. But so the way I thought this worked was I had to not see the exit. So I had to back my way through it, which also works.
Yes.
Like I didn't see what was actually happening until I read about it later.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a cool puzzle.
Yeah.
Good tough stuff.
Yeah. I thought I was like needing to memorize a sequence of, okay, follow the sign, don't follow the sign. So it's like follow, don't follow. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like some Lost Woods bullshit, but it's not.
It's actually like more logical and satisfying than the Lost Woods bullshit. But you got to do it, do it right. Otherwise the loop resets. This is also when stuff starts turning into paintings.
I like this a lot.
Like you try to put a chess piece on a switch and it just turns into a painting on the wall.
It just turns into 2D. Like it's really neat. Again, only can be done in video games.
Yeah.
Only in something that's simulating a 3D space.
Like, damn it. This thing I'm reaching for
keeps happening.
It's just Trump loiled on the wall. Fuck.
It's a little bit like the later era Simpsons that's not super great, but where Homer becomes an artist. And he's in the museum, like being tortured by all the art.
Yep.
Like everything just kind of going wrong in the tyranny of images.
Yeah. Another later Simpsons thing where it's Mo tries to turn Moe's into a gay bar, and he has Smithers over to consult on it. He's like, I might make enough money that I can buy actual peanuts, and I don't just need to Trump loyal the bowls onto the counter. And it reveals that it's kind of painted across.
Yeah. That's very good.
Yeah. I just like saying Trump loyal.
If you know what that is if you don't know what it is.
Yes.
Like look it up. You'll see what it means.
Yeah.
So you reach an elevator with 4 doors out of it, and this is a grid maze of elevators. You just have to find the arrows on the ground
Yeah.
and follow this trail. A little bit less inspired than the other one.
It is neat being in an elevator where all four of the walls are doors.
Just opens into more elevators.
Yes.
Yeah. You get through this and you turn off the alarm clock and the whole scene turns into a painting. Perspective painting. Really cool looking. And you wake up in this endless parking lot. You walk into one direction long enough and it also turns into a painting. It's really hard to explain how this, describe how this works. But as you get closer, it looks like it's far away until you're right up against a black painting.
And that fixes.
A parking lot.
Yeah. And you have to do this in all four directions to kind of define and corral the space. And then suddenly the center of that will be a perspective drawing on a box that you just have to walk around the other side of.
Yeah. Get into the exit for that. You wake up again in the Sonosculpt diagnostic framework warehouse here. And the female voice warns you not to do anything realistic or you'll induce a fail state.
Anything unrealistic.
Oh, unrealistic. Yeah. Because this is the paradox section. And this is where I had a problem getting too small.
Yes.
There is a model of the storehouse in front of a strip mall, and you can move that model, but the entrance to the model is also against the wall. Like you can walk into there's a door on the wall, you walk into it, you come out the model, like Beetlejuice shit.
Yeah. And in order to proceed, you have to go against the directions. You need to pick up the little model of the storefront. I love that it's in a strip mall.
If you go and walk around the little strip mall, it plays kind of a jaunty tune that I also think is a Portal shout out. That's similar to the version of Still Alive. Still Alive.
Yeah, the little samba version that plays on the radio when you wake up or at the beginning. Yeah.
It reminds me of that. You have to carry the strip mall, the storefront, into the storefront.
Yes. You need to carry an exit through itself in order to induce a paradox that completely breaks the space and puts you into a void.
And we're almost done with puzzles. At this point, there are a couple more puzzles, but we're kind of in the home stretch here of narrative and set piece stuff. The last little bit that has any kind of puzzle finding in it is similar to the darkness section where it's about, what is white space and what is, black space and what can be hidden there. And then a couple puzzles about something being solid because you add something to it.
Yes.
If I put an object on something while it's far away, it's solid. But if I just walk up to it, there's no object on it. It may as well just be a blank space.
Yes. It is not contextualized as solid because something else besides you is not resting on it. The visuals here are really striking. Like you're going through just out of context cathedral-like spaces. I think they just had the artist go ham on this. Like suddenly you're in spaces that have way less texture than when you were in the liminal spaces, but feel loaded with more meaning almost.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. Like this section's really great.
Yeah.
Looks great. And Glenn Pierce on the recording, he's talking about, finding these white spaces in his dreams, this white space, and how you've gone further than anyone has ever come back from.
Yeah.
In this dream kind of thing.
Yeah. It tells you not to be discouraged.
Yep. You get to the chessboard where you have to put chess pieces on the pieces to make them, or on the spaces to make them real, to get across. Even if you take the piece off while you're standing on it, you'll fall.
Yep.
Like you have to leapfrog it.
The number of times where I forgot that little bit and just fell, kind of embarrassing to admit, actually.
Yeah. I need to start over when you do it. It's not odious, it's not horrible, but you eventually get to this room with this very high exit and a block there that won't let you get there, won't let you reach it. You make a door real by moving a block through it.
Yes.
Again, these things, things are contextualized by the things around them.
Yes.
Is the perspective statement it's making here.
Yeah, and this gets you into a room with a cheese wedge that you can carry back through and then make a ramp up to the exit, and that's the final the final puzzle.
And it's like the second puzzle you did in the game.
Yes.
It's a little mirror, little repeated thing. You reach this white void, and you have to pick up this black square that used to be an exit to reveal this pit.
Yeah.
And jump through it, and you jump through the display of your alarm clock. Eventually, as you keep going through this, you wake up when it hits 8 a.m.
Yeah, you're falling through the space of 7:59, and then it rolls over.
Yes. And then we get our coda.
Yeah.
Here, largely non-interactive. We can walk through this montage of spaces that we've been through. It just keeps changing the channel. putting us into different levels, while Dr. Glenn Pierce explains the game's theme.
The meaning that, I mean, if this sank in for you, ahead of time before it was like revealed, if you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, no, that totally tracks. Right in, I want to study your brain, actually.
Yeah, and I'm just curious about it because it's the kind of thing that, again, it's not like I'm immune to the truth of this. It's just I already have it internalized.
Yes. Yeah.
He says, all these things that we said were going wrong, you probably figured this out already. This is exactly what was supposed to happen.
Yes.
And then says, people come to us because they feel out of control. And you navigate these dream rules to illustrate that you can break out of your cycle by doing the seemingly impossible by changing your perspective.
Yes.
Again, a true thing that does not have enough profundity to really hit you in the heart.
Normally, I would want to say that everybody needs to be exposed to an idea for the first time somewhere. So just because something is elementary and you experienced it before, it might be somebody else's first time, right?
Yeah.
If you have reached a point in life where you can play Superliminal, and you have not already internalized this, this feels like something that necessarily, unless you're in kindergarten, you will have put together in some form or fashion.
Yeah, it's very basic. A little bit more basic than I would prefer.
Yes.
But generally, harmless. It's not an evil message. It's a fine message. I think the game would be a little bit better without it. Weirdly enough, I could have almost done this whole section without the voiceover.
Yeah.
Just kind of going through these surreal spaces and going back through things and just let that message hit on its own.
Yeah. Play Antechamber, Gary.
I should.
It's real short. Like you get everything you need out of it in an hour. It's also kind of open worldy. It's a game that's played through achievements almost.
Okay.
It's neat.
Yeah. I like that kind of thing. Someday perhaps I'll play Quantum Conundrum.
Yeah.
It has John Delancey. And that's Superliminal. A real snack.
Yeah.
Short episode, but it does a cool thing. I'm really happy I played this game. I like it. Again, it felt like going to an art museum in a good way.
It's a cool thing. It's a novel idea that is very well expressed. There are a lot of ways that this could have been done that would have let down the kind of coolness of the initial premise. And I'm happy that they didn't.
Yeah. One of the things this made me think about, I was talking about this in the Slack with Zumbini and some other people, is it's hard for me to think of the last time I played a puzzle game that left me wanting more. Puzzle games tend to exhaust me a little bit, even when I really like them. I can't remember the last time we did a puzzle game for the show that I wasn't a little bit sick of it by the end.
Yeah.
I like Golden Idol a lot. The last mission was too much for me. I liked Oberdin a lot. I hated doing all of the people's shoe sizes, things like that. There's always something that is too far. And I think for a lot of people, that's the climax. They're at that level of puzzle love where it's like, oh man, I really want that ultra messy brain teaser at the end. But I am here for something that, like the original Portal left me wanting more.
Yeah.
Something that does its idea and then just man, that was fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I can walk away happy, not walk away exhausted and kind of just wanting to put it down. That says something about my appetite for puzzles, probably.
Yes.
I like puzzles. I'm not voracious of them, but this really did leave me feeling oh, that was cool. That was good. Like getting off a roller coaster.
Yes.
Or something man, that's fucking cool. I could do it again. It wouldn't be the same, but it makes me it makes me want to go on another roller coaster.
It does.
A different one.
Yeah. It makes me wish that there were more similar products to this. And if you know about them, let us know.
Yeah. And not the cowardly 2D puzzle platformer.
Come on. No,
those are for cowards. That is game designer's first coward game, making a 2D puzzle platformer. I have no interest in moving blocks.
I love ascribing cowardice to that.
it it seems cowardly. Doesn't it feel like it's like the first, like, oh, I want to make a game. I want to make it a puzzle game. Let's do a puzzle platformer. It feels very cowardly to me.
Yeah.
I don't
know. Yeah. And, I think that I enjoy, a puzzle game that gets real gnarly more than you, which is fine because we're different people, despite what other people claim.
Yeah.
But this scratches a different itch for me insofar as this is just a nice, breezy, surface level exploration of a wide variety of novelties, right?
A thing to walk through.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, I keep making this comparison, but it ended up feeling a lot like an art gallery.
It's a design space through which I can be surprised, right?
Yeah. And get those kind of feelings like an art gallery as opposed to like a short story.
Yes.
Right. Like, and you can transcend and kind of mix those two things. It's the reason why the Beginner's Guide is my favorite walking sim, right?
Yeah.
Like that is both. That is a surreal art gallery to walk through and a really tragic and interesting short story.
Yes.
To me. Or Edith Finch.
Yeah.
A tragic short story.
Edith Finch is
about
kind of closest to this a little bit. Like in terms of just doing surreal tricks. Each thing, but that's more of a narrative kind of thing. As a narrative free, that meme where it's like somebody's in the art gallery and they're going, "What does it mean?" And the art itself shouts back, "What do you mean?" As a thing. Like this works on that level to me. Yeah.
The value of this is to get me kind of thinking and feeling in an off kilter way, not necessarily to ascribe a meaning.
Yeah.
Itself. And I love that kind of stuff. I really, it's a big reason why I like visual art. In kind of a general sense, like if I go to a city, I will visit an art museum.
Yeah.
I like being confronted with shit like that. And this game does it.
Yeah. I'm just now realizing a game we're going to talk about later this year, Indica, a horror-ish game. It's not really. It's more of a surrealist kind of thing. It plays in this space an awful lot too.
Nice.
This is a kind of trick that happens a lot in horror games, actually.
Yes. So. Yeah. That kind of endless hallway. In horror games of all stripes, like that happens in like Fear.
Yeah.
Shit like that. Like it is kind of, but having it be the centerpiece, I think is neat.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. You heard that we're going to do Indigo at some point. No more Koi Boy. Koi Boy free 2025. If it's on the schedule, we'll tell you. And if it has to change, it'll be fine.
So what? I didn't say when we were going to do it. I'm looking at the spreadsheet now, but
you'll never know. It's we'll never tell. No, we will tell.
Yeah, we will
That's
tell.
The new thing.
When I streamed Indica, I said, "Oh, this is definitely getting on WAF at some point."
Yeah.
So
it's people. I don't. If something has to, I think the original reason behind the Koi Boy is like, oh, we might have to change our plans. And every time we've ever had to change our plans, we expect people to like rend and tear garments. And the reason why is because we're idiots. And in fact, nobody gives a shit. I felt genuinely bad about not being able to do Project Snowblind, not just for fans, but because I wanted to do it.
Yeah, it's a second try, and you thought you had it figured out, and then the emulator put shit out for you.
Yeah, the emulator it's playable, but only barely just. Like it is so ugly and hard to read in the form I could get it to run. And I didn't expect people to be mad about it, but I did genuinely feel apologetic, and the people like, that's fine, you moron. And I was like, well, shit, sorry, I've got stuff I'm trying to deal with. So in 2025, I vow to try to be a better and more reasonable person about stuff like that.
Yeah.
The stakes are low, and people are supportive, and we should act like it.
Yeah, people actually like us, and are going to give us the benefit of the doubt on stuff. And also, they probably couldn't get Project Snowblind to run either, and so weren't invested in playing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I would love to talk about it, but it's not to be. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening. We appreciate you.
We do.
New year. If you are listening to this and you are a underrepresented population and you have a project or product you'd like us to shout out, please send me an email at Gary@Duckfeed.tv. Includes spelling, pronunciation, pronouns, web link, description, all that stuff. We'd be happy to shout you out. No line right now. So if you got something, we'd be happy to throw some attention your way.
Yeah, please do. If you have thoughts on Superliminal or Super Castlevania 4, Tactical Breach Wizards, or Super Mario 64, which is our premium episode for this month, write in by January the 15th. Go to Duckfeed.tv/contact. If you have thoughts about multiple games, please write in multiple responses, and keep your responses concise and specific as the guidance we give.
Also, if you have thoughts about next month's games, which are the Netflix Bandersnatch, Choose Your Own Adventure thingy, and then two other ones I don't have in front of me.
It is Tenchu Stealth Assassins.
Oh, yeah.
And Scald Against the Black Priory. Yeah.
We're eating good for a while. Tell me you started Tactical Breach Wizards.
I have. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That's good.
We're eating good.
Yeah.
If you want to support us, the way you can do it is going to Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. You will get this month's bonus episode and previous month's bonus episodes, as well as a bunch of bonus shows, including Real Lich Hours, a little bit of Koi Boy. We have an announcement about that we're going to make soon.
Yeah.
Not yet, but I think that people will dig it. And then also leave us ratings and reviews on the podcast directory of your choice.
Please. Yeah. Tell your friends all of that. And also join us in thanking our producer, Gwen.
Yeah. Thank you, Gwen. Stare into the Superliminal as long as you can. And what should they watch out for until next time?
They should watch out for assumptions.